seems to be doing it now. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, all set, Joe?
Yes.
Well, welcome everybody to the October 18th, 2023 meeting of the Danbury Planning Commission. We will open with the roll call. Mr. Kiokio.
Here.
Ms. Hofstetter is absent. Mr. Sylvain.
Here.
Mr. Haas.
Here.
And Chairman Finaldi is here. We do have four for a quorum. Before we move forward, Commission members, I'd like to rearrange the agenda slightly. What I'd like to do to accommodate Sharon is to get the first referral, the A3A referral, moved up to the very first item on our agenda, and then the rest of the agenda will flow after that. So I'd like to entertain a motion to move the first referral, the A3A referral, to the first item on our agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The first referral, A3A, will be the first item we discuss this evening. Okay. Commission members, the minutes of the October 4th, 2023 meeting were previously distributed. Unless there is any comments or corrections, I'll entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the October 4th minutes.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'll let the record show I did not attend that meeting, but I did have an opportunity today to watch the video. So I am eligible to vote. As shown on our agenda, our next regular meeting is scheduled for November 1st, 2023. And before we proceed, I will read the Zoom introduction. This meeting of the Danbury Planning Commission is being held on Zoom as a virtual meeting. Even though this meeting is a virtual meeting, members of the public and interested parties continue to have an opportunity to participate in the meeting in a couple of different ways. You can participate via Zoom and see the audio and the video, or you can call in by phone and participate via audio only. Please be aware that we may have to mute your microphone or telephone to avoid an echo or some other background noise. Instructions on how to participate in the meeting appear on the City of Danbury website, and all of the documents and materials that apply to the matters to be discussed during this meeting, including the agenda, are also available on the City of Danbury website. As always, if you have any questions regarding how to participate in the meeting, please contact the City of Danbury Planning and Zoning Department. As a reminder, the entire meeting will be posted on and can be seen on the City of Danbury website. We will follow the posted agenda as per standard practice. If prior to the meeting any questions or comments on agenda items were submitted via email to the Planning and Zoning Department, those comments will be read during the appropriate portion of the meeting. Finally, please remember that technology glitches do sometimes occur. Please be patient if that happens. Okay. As shown on our agenda, we have no new public hearings this evening or no new continuation of public hearings. So we're going to go right to the first referral. It's an A3A referral. Petition of Bright Ravens IS Danbury LLC to amend sections 5B2 and 5B4 of the zoning regulations and hotel conversion with specific use requirements as a permitted use in the CA80 zone. Zoning Commission public hearing on this matter is scheduled for October 24th, 2023. Several documents have been distributed that pertain to this particular matter. Sharon's staff report dated May 11th, 2023. Her subsequent report on October 12th, 2023, and a letter from the applicant as well. I believe that was an October 3rd letter and a September 7th letter. So with that said, Sharon, I believe you're handling this referral, please.
I am. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for accommodating me by moving this up. So, and I apologize, I'm going to be looking a little bit to the left because I got two screens going. So you all have a copy of the October 12th, 2023 staff report. This is the second petition to amend the zoning regulations, section 5B2A and 5B4, to add a hotel to apartment house mixed use as a permitted use with specific use requirements in the CA80 zoning district. The amendment proposed to section 5B would allow for the conversion or redevelopment of an existing hotel for a multifamily apartment house that would include a mix of other uses allowed in the zone. This is the second petition from the petitioner. And this new petition adds or includes a requirement for open space and some of the units to be deed restricted as affordable. And other than those two changes, the language of the petition basically mirrors that which was acted upon by the zoning commission in July. So I gave you some background on the CA80 zoning district in the previous staff report, which is attached to this one. That's the one dated May. And the important information I think about the CA80 zone is twofold. First, it was redefined in 2007 when we did some changes to the commercial zones and the residential zones. And the purpose of that zone is to provide for general and heavy commercial uses in appropriate locations along major roadways in the city. And I think we can all agree that the traffic volume and congestion on Mill Plain Road has increased as Danbury has grown and the west side has been developed. Again, CA80 zone only encompasses the lots that border Lake Avenue, Mill Plain Road from exit 3 to exit 2. Secondly, over the decades, while we have added uses to that zone, certain uses, including apartment houses, garden apartments, and fast food restaurants have consistently been prohibited. The reasons given why the petition should be granted are provided in the letters from Attorney Beecher dated September 7th and October 3rd. And as he notes, the reasons are basically a reiteration of the record of the previous petition and our justification as why, again, that first petition should have been approved. He also reiterates the petitioner's intent to redevelop the property it owns into a mix of uses, including 198 apartments, a restaurant, a fitness center, coffee shop, and offices, among other uses. And while there is a mix of uses, that mix does create some concerns relative to parking and open space, and I'm going to get into that in a second. I also wanted to refer you back to the report on the previous comments on the hotel industry and specific to the Connecticut market. And in support of those comments, there has been a recent sale of the Holiday Inn on Newtown Road. And in that case, though the new owners have indicated to city officials their intent to invest in that asset for continued use as a hotel. I've given you some general comments. I'm going to go through them and then some specific comments relative to certain issues in the petition. So permitted versus special exception use. So it's the staff's position that the proposed new use should be a special exception use, not a permitted use as proposed in the petition. There are 6 zoning districts where an apartment house is allowed as a permitted use. And if an apartment house generates greater than 500 vehicle trips per day, and that equals 84 units, then the apartment house is considered special exception use. Because this amendment allows the density of the residential units in the converted hotel to equal that number of hotel rooms, and that both hotels to which they have indicated this would apply have more than 150 rooms, and there also requires a mix of other uses based on the trip generation rates, that would automatically put it as a special exception. So why don't we just call it what it is? And I can tell you that there are some hotels in the city that have under 84 rooms, but in this case, those 2 hotels to which this apply have more than 150 rooms each. So allowing it, as you know, to be or requiring it to be a special exception provides the planning commission with more discretion to ensure the mix of uses in the building will not create conditions harmful to the natural environment, jeopardize public health and safety, create conditions adversely affecting traffic safety, or cause undue traffic congestion. It also provides some input to determine exterior site improvements, including open space areas, are appropriately designed given the uses, and is designed in a manner that meets the needs of permanent residents and workers. In short, it's our opinion, just designated a special exception use. And then I just indicated to you the Crown Plaza was originally approved as a site plan 1978. There was a special exception approval in 1980 for the exterior parking lot improvements. And then 4 subsequent special exception approvals for antennas that are on the roof of that building. The Hilton Garden Inn, which is the other site to which this would apply, was approved as a special exception use in 1998. And since that time, they have had one one site plan approval, revised site plan approval, and 2 special exceptions for antennas on the roof. In terms of converting hotel rooms to apartments and unit size and property locations, I'm going to refer you back again to the staff report previously relative to converting, apartments to permanent housing, the size of the units, rent comparisons, the building location, and all of those things are key factors in decision-making process for people who choose to reside in the smaller units. So those comments still stand. I've just reiterated, Attorney Beecher has indicated that the efficiencies will be 330 square feet in size and will include appliances. It wasn't clear from the letters he submitted whether the 660 square foot 1-bedroom units will also be fully furnished, but again, I'm assuming they'll have appliances. That wasn't really clear. And if one were to assign less weight to those kind of issues that I talked about in the previous report, the question is this zone appropriate for allowing the addition of permanent housing? And again, only 2 sites this would be applicable to, would be the Crowne Plaza and Hilton Garden Inn. And both are distant from places of work, neighborhood amenities, transit options. Housing in these locations perpetuate automobile dependency as compared to mixed use buildings in other locations. And, walking to and from uses in that corridor is kind of challenging. Now, comments on the specific language of the proposed amendment, and I only provided comments on things that we had some concerns about. I didn't have really any other comments on anything else in the proposal. So let me walk you through those. Section 5B for F1, which is the minimum lot area shall be 6 acres. And again, refer you back to my previous comments on the report. And it's not unreasonable to assume for the commissions to assume that hotel operators outside the CA80 zone would seek the same conversion ability. And as evidence to that, and specific to that Holiday Inn site on Newtown Road, they actually asked the city if we would consider allowing apartments on that site. So I think that's a real issue that needs to be addressed, and we need to the commission should consider the potential for some citywide impacts associated with converting hotels to residential mixed-use buildings in areas that were not previously considered for such use absent the corridor studies, which was what was recommended in the new POCD. Number 2, 5B for F2 is the number of dwelling units shall not exceed the total number of hotel rooms available for occupancy in the existing hotel. So again, we reiterate our comments about the potential for limiting density if the 2 properties to which this would apply were converted based on those room counts. There could be 400 new dwelling units in those 2 structures. The 5, as I indicated, there are 6 zones that allow apartment houses. 5 are in the residential district, all have density requirements, and this proposal does not. There is no density requirement in the CBD zone, although that density is a function of the lot size and compliance with some parking requirements and building height limitations. Additionally, after review of the drawings that Attorney Beecher submitted with his October 3rd letter that included the parking layout and open space, we query the practicality of the requirement if the building must contain a mix of uses. So, density, parking, open space are all codependent. They, one affects the other. So if the Crowne Plaza is redeveloped for the 198 units as proposed, a total of 270 parking spaces would be required based on the unit count that they've indicated. 220 spaces for the units and 50 for the visitor spaces. We counted up about 367 parking spaces based on that submission. So 97 spaces would be available to meet the needs of other uses. But if all the units were converted, let's just say to 100% efficiency units, that would require 303 parking spaces, leaving only 64 spaces for the myriad of other uses that are contemplated. So again, it's kind of a mixed game. And under both scenarios, as Attorney Beecher indicated, there's limited, if no, ability to provide additional open space equal to what's provided in the other zoning districts. Additionally, in the other districts where the apartment houses are permitted, there are other, if other uses are proposed, the uses require additional acreage pursuant to Section 3H1 of the zoning regulations. So we question why this is different than that, why it should be treated different. Number 8 has to do with the open space. So they are proposing a minimum of 250 square feet of open space and recreation per dwelling unit, and then additional ways to provide for that open space in all the other zones except for the CBD and the the housing redevelopment option in the RMF4. Open space requirement. The open space requirement is 500 square feet per dwelling unit. The current petition seeks to require open space at half of that amount, 50%. And Attorney Beecher's justification for that is that this minimum, and I'm quoting, of 250 per apartment is based in all candor upon what can reasonably be committed on the existing already developed site. And I'm saying if the density were reduced and the number and the size of the other uses limited in square footage, or more creative ways to provide the open space could be provided, that number could change. And just because a site is developed shouldn't be the justification for determining the number. And as you go through the paragraph, the next paragraph, I talk about the arterial commercial zone and not comparing it to the downtown because we don't think that's appropriate and should be disregarded. We think there should be some, other creative ways to provide for open space for this new use, and that appears to be doable. And while they did provide a list of open space that they would calculate, the 250 is a mathematical calculation. This is what we could come up with, divided by the number of units, and you get 253. So we're going to propose it at 250. And our question to the commission is, is that the right way to do it? Is that proper planning? Is that, shouldn't we be requiring the 500 like everybody else has to do? And why is this so different? And again, commissions may reasonably query whether a sidewalk, which is what they're counting, is really open space. So I'm going to refer you to the buildings and the area around the buildings that are outlined as provided for Attorney Beecher. And finally, a minimum of 5% of each type of the residential unit shall be affordable housing, subject to the following provisions. I didn't reiterate them because I didn't want this to get too long. You have a copy of their proposal. So I have to say, we're happy that it included this. There are some nuances in this section. So the requirement for the percentage of unit to be deed restricted. So subsections A, D, and E are the same as those contained in section 4B7 of the zoning regulations and the housing incentive option in the RMF 4 and 6 zones. And the genesis for the housing incentive option, which is a density bonus, comes from CGS section 8-2G, not 8-30G, which is referenced in subsection B as proposed. And additionally, subsection C is also a reiteration of the housing incentive option, and is a different affordable housing calculation than is required in 8-30G. So we're saying subsections B and C have to be addressed. And then I go through some specifics, and again, I don't want to really get into the weeds. You have my staff report. It's a way affordable housing is defined, what's required under one statute versus another statute. I don't really think they meant to redevelop the site under the provisions of 8-30G, because those requirements are significantly greater and more restrictive than are allowed under 8-2G and 8-39A. So based on the way it's written as presented and submitted to the petition, submitted to the zoning commission originally and referred to you, we think these sections need some work, and we're recommending that the issue be referred to the Office of Corporation Counsel for some further input. And finally, consistency with the plan of development. Again, you can go back to the previous report about the mixed-use districts, and I brought that up before. This petition was crafted to create a specific zoning regulation for use that was not for use that wasn't permitted in the zone at the time the petitioner acquired the property. It is limited in terms of the way it was structured, in terms of the additional requirements and to the sites to which it would apply. And again, I think, underestimated or ignoring potential and broad-reaching impacts is kind of short-sighted and contrary to good planning. While it is consistent with some section of the POCD relative to housing and the AHP, which is the Affordable Housing Plan, which talks about exploring kind of mixed-use districts and things like that, has that really been done in this instance? And as I previously noted, the FLUM, which is a future land use map, shows this as a corridor commercial land use designation. So in conclusion, while they added 2 requirements, which addressed some comments from the commission, they did it as what I think was a quick, trying to do this quickly, get it back in before the commission. And while it may warrant a favorable determination, the issues above, I think, really need to be addressed. So in its present state, as it's written, we don't support this petition. And then I added in the usual paragraph, what you have to find. So with that, I will answer any questions from the commission.
Any questions at this time, commission members?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Bob.
I don't necessarily have any questions for Sharon, but just a few comments, if this is the appropriate time or not.
Absolutely.
I do have some issues with this petition, quite honestly. And, I think Sharon covered a lot of it there. But, the CA 80 zone, well, new uses have been added there over many, many years. As Sharon said, residential fast food restaurant uses have continually been prohibited in that district, in that area. Quite honestly, I think that continues to be a prudent decision to make for this district. Making the change the petitioner is requesting, as Sharon said, is inconsistent with the future land use map. In the most recent POCD, we did highlight mixed use districts, and they should be considered, I think, seriously in the future. However, it should be done after careful and thorough studies and analysis of the existing districts and demographics of our area. And I really haven't seen a sufficient study or analysis on the impact that this might have, or this change could have for Danbury in the area. So, at this time, I think a lot more work and study needs to be done. It would be interesting to see a study or analysis on the hotel use in Danbury, honestly, because all the hotels I go by, parking lots, there's a lot of cars in the parking lot. They seem to be sufficiently utilized. So I'm not sure why this particular property hasn't been able to survive most recently. So, those are kind of the issues I have. As Sharon said, if one were to have a positive opinion, I guess, on this petition, I think at a minimum there should be a lot more discussion and changes to many of the topics that Sharon says. Requiring a special exception requirement, I think, is imperative there. Density requirement should be included there as well. Quite honestly, the parking, why shouldn't it be subject to the current use requirements and calculations of the other areas of apartment houses? The open space requirements, again, should be consistent with the other zoning districts where apartment houses are allowed, at 500 square feet a unit. And again, a little bit of a tweak to the open space definition, I think, needs to be done. For example, I don't think that sidewalk should be included in that definition. So those are kind of my comments for this petition.
Thank you, Bob. I'll go next because I agree with a lot of what Mr. Kiokio had to say. I too have concerns regarding this petition. I guess we start out with the POCD. I guess it's somewhat connected to some sections of the POCD, exploring mixed use zones, this type of thing. But as Mr. Kiokio said, I'm not, more studies are needed before we can say it's really compatible with the POCD. I don't believe that it is. It's incompatible with the future land use map, FLUM, which defines CA80 as a commercial corridor, or a corridor commercial, I think it was. It's also, I'm not sold on the idea of permanent residential dwellings in the CA80 zone. It's incompatible with the purpose and intent of that zone. Couple of other things. As pointed out in the staff report, this application has very limited applicability to the city of Danbury. If granted, it only applies to 2 locations in the city, both at the very end of Mill Plain Road. So again, it's very limited in terms of its applicability to the city. I too have some density concerns. I think, forgive me if I'm paraphrasing, but 5 residential zones in Danbury in which apartment houses are permitted all have density requirements. This does not. And there are open space concerns. I mean, every zone in Danbury that has a permitted use of apartment building, except the CBD, has, I think the open space requirements are 500 square foot per unit. This one has 250. The staff report points out the possibility for unintended consequences. Again, this particular zone change applies only to the CA80 zone, but it's not inconceivable that hotels in the CG20 zone may come in and look to convert to apartments, and that could be an issue. The site itself is very pedestrian unfriendly. And I just happen to live very close to this site and drive by it quite frequently. I don't know the last time anyone's been down there because the hotel's been closed for a few years, but the only way to access this site from Old Ridgebury Road is down a very steep curved driveway, which does not have sidewalks on either side of it. So if you're in that building, the only way to get out without driving would be to walk up a very steep and curved driveway. And it could be potentially dangerous to do so. So the only way to get in and out of that site is with a car. So again, it's pedestrian unfriendly. It's transit unfriendly. There's no transit anywhere near this particular site that I'm aware of. The traffic, which I've come to appreciate on Mill Plain Road, is bad. And if you pull out of this site and you take a right to go down to Mill Plain Road and you take another right, that's where the problems start. There's a pinch point right in front of where Barrett Roofing is on one side, Rosie Tomorrow's on the other, where Mill Plain Road narrows to 1 lane, and that's where the problems begin. So, I mean, for all those reasons, I can't support the application as submitted. And I may be leaving out a couple of things, but that's where I am on it. And I'll welcome Mr. Sylvain or Mr. Haas if they'd like to chime in on anything on this.
Sure. I'm not going to repeat everything that was said. But, you know, as I said at the last meeting or the last time we spoke about this, I like seeing the creative adaptive reuse. We certainly have needs for additional housing and affordable options in our city. But there's obviously a lot of issues that still need to be worked out, as my fellow commissioners and staff have pointed out. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sylvain. Any thoughts, Mr. Haas? Are you okay with what's been said so far?
Yeah, I'm in agreement pretty much with what everybody said so far.
Thank you. Any other questions, commission members? Any other comments, Sharon, at this time? All right, hearing none.
Sorry, no, I'm good, Mr. Chairman, sorry.
Oh, okay, no problem. Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion, either positive or negative, for this 8-3A referral.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion for a negative referral.
Motion made for a negative referral. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sylvain. Okay, and again, just to confirm, a yes vote is for a negative referral, and a no vote is not for a negative referral. And it's a little bit weird, but that's how these things work. So,
Mr. Chairman, can I just jump in for a second? I'm assuming for the reasons
oh,
so noted in the discussion. Yes,
yes. Who made the? Did you make the motion, Bob?
I did, yes, for the reasons that all of the commissioners spoke about, in addition to the comments in the staff report.
Thank you. And Mr. Sylvain, you second that, correct?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, again, reminder, commission members, a yes vote is for a negative referral. A no vote is not for a negative referral. All in favor of a yes vote, please say aye.
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 All in favor of a no vote, please say no. Okay, this matter gets a negative referral. Thank you, Sharon.
thank you, appreciate it. Thanks.
You're welcome. We're going to move again, as I mentioned earlier, we have nothing under public hearings, nothing under continuation of public hearings. So we'll move right to our old business for discussion and possible action agenda. Item 1, Down Home Associates LLC, property owner, application for special exception site plan approval for self-storage, Putnam 3 self-storage in the IL40 zone, 7 Great Pasture Road, L16001, special exception number 794. The draft resolution and final staff report were distributed. Who will be discussing this one? Ally? Fire away.
Okay, so for the final staff reports, I'll just walk you through the planning staff report and then Vera's staff report as well for traffic. So for the planning and zoning staff report, it's really just the addition of some notes and details pertaining to some floor plans and some landscaping, just incorporating that on the plans. And then for Vera's staff report, it deals with the internal circulation markings, that those need to be shown on the plan. So those are the two main ones. And then Kelly still has outstanding comments. Again, no deal breakers, but there are outstanding comments from engineering.
Okay.
Any questions on the staff reports? Commission
Questions
members?
for Ally? Go ahead, Bob.
So how do those comments get resolved? They just, Kelly would, or you guys would work with Mike and get those resolved? And what happens if there's some issue that can't get resolved?
Correct.
Or we don't-
So
we
we
don't
would
need-
work with the applicant on resolving those issues. And then if, again, there's nothing drastic in the changes that would need to be made. But if there were just out of the blue, something that happened, correct me if I'm wrong, Jen, they would have to come back in for a revised site plan approval. And then if it requires the commission's attention, it would have to come back for a revised grant if approved.
So the approval will be subject to, I guess, it's the department coming, or I guess all resolutions satisfactory to the department. Is that how that would work?
It would be Jen's nodding her head, yes.
Okay,
Do you want me to jump in, Ally?
okay.
Yes, if you could, sorry.
Bob, if, again, when we get to the point, the commission provides guidance to staff and, we at that point look at whatever's outstanding. And in this case, there's 3 departments that have outstanding comments. It's the expectation that those comments will be resolved. Sometimes it's a quick, there's a handful of comments. It's done in 30 days. Sometimes it takes them 3 to 4 months and it's going back and forth with the engineering department. Sometimes it's back and forth with planning and zoning, again, making sure all those comments are resolved. If they are not resolved, then we would recommend to, again, they're not getting a zoning permit at that point. So they, if they're looking to change the condition or substantively change the plans, we would require them to go back to the planning commission for a revised site plan. But again, we're at this point because, we are confident that all of those outstanding comments can be resolved.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Okay. Ally, anything else?
Yes, so then we can go through the resolution if there are no other questions or comments.
Sure, go right to the resolution.
Okay, so again, pretty standard with the whereases. We have some of the conditions as just talked about with the final staff reports for the outstanding comments. And then as well as the floodplain permit conditions, obtaining that floodplain permit from the commission. And then again, pretty standard comments, road right-of-way work, and the installation of the curbing, sidewalk, apron on Great Pasture. Just the standard comments that we see pretty much for all of the applications, in addition to the outstanding comments from staff reports.
Thanks, Ally.
Again, any comments or questions?
Questions on the resolution, commission members? Okay, I think it speaks for itself. Before I ask for a vote, Ally or Jen, was there anything else on this one?
No, I believe that's all.
Okay. Well, commission members, you do have the draft resolution of approval with conditions that we just discussed. Unless there's anything else for staff, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution with conditions.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
Second.
Kevin.
So a motion has been made to approve the resolution of approval with conditions and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
Opposed? The resolution of approval is approved. Okay. We're going to move right to the number 2 under old business for discussion and possible action. Safe Store Real Estate Company LLC, 94 Sandpit Road LLC, property owner application for special exception site plan approval for self-storage. Safe Store in the IL40 zone, 94 Sandpit Road, K10014, special exception number 795. Again, similar to the previous application, the final staff report and draft resolution were distributed. And Ally, I'll turn it back over to you.
So again, just some minor notes on the planning side. A landscaped island tree moved, and then again, some floor plan detailing that needs to be resolved. That's kind of it for the planning side of it. And then moving to Vera's final staff report. Just having some trees and shrubs at the adjacent property trimmed back a little bit to improve the site distances, and then the agreement to have the applicant purchase and install the video detection equipment at the intersection of Star, Beaver Brook and Sandpit. Or, yeah, Beaver Brook. Yeah, sorry. Lost my bearings for a second. Any questions or comments on the final staff reports?
I do have one question, sorry.
Please.
On the video detection equipment, so they're going to install that or have their contractor install it? Because I know on previous ones, we've just the town, I think, wanted to do the installation and you just got, I guess, some compensation to do that. So is this is different than that? They're going to install it?
Yes, it's slightly different. So they are going to install it in a manner that's satisfactory to the Department of Public Works. So
Okay.
the Department of Public Works will oversee it, but it will be installed by the applicant.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Ally? Okay, want to move to the resolution?
So again, the standard whereases, and as we've seen in the past couple with the video detection, this one's just slightly different. It's just the requirement for the installation and purchase of the equipment rather than the check payable. So again, going through the requirements, the outstanding comments from staff, so engineering, planning and zoning, and the traffic engineer. And Kelly had a letter in her letter, also requested that the acquisition of necessary drainage rights be acquired and coordinated with the adjacent property owner. So that is also in there as well on number 9. And again, at number 11, you can see the road right of way work shown in the approved plans, coordinating completed to the satisfaction of the Department of Public Works, including but not limited to the installation of the video detection equipment. So that is there. And then again, just the standard requirements and whereases throughout. Any comments or questions?
Anything for Ally on the resolution? Okay. If there's no other comments or questions from the commission or no other comments from staff, I'll entertain a motion on the resolution of approval with conditions.
I'll make a motion for approval with conditions.
Motion made to approve. Do I hear a second?
Kevin, I'll second.
Thank you, Kevin. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the resolution of approval with conditions. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution of approval with conditions is approved. Thank you. Okay, we're going to continue on our agenda, going down to the referrals. As you all know, we already did the 83A referral. So we're going to go down to the 2824 referrals that remain on the agenda. The first one is an 824 referral, October 2023 City Council Agenda Item number 3, New Street Lease and Operations, Health and Human Services. Jen, I believe you're handling that one.
Yes, I am, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. So the first referral, as you said, for 41 New Street, City Council received a request from Kara Prenti, who's the Director of the Health and Human Services Department, for the city to enter into an agreement with the Association of Religious Communities, ARC, as we call them, to lease and operate the Danbury Support Center located at 41 New Street. The property is about 31,000 square feet in size. It's located in the RH3 zoning district. The property contains a 3,600 square foot structure with about a 9-space parking lot. The department granted approval, site plan approval in 1991 for a 20-bed shelter, shelter for the homeless. And I just make a quick note of saying in 91, a shelter at the time, shelter was a permitted use in the zone. The regs were subsequently revised to make shelters a special exception in the CBD and the RH3 zoning districts. So this is non-conforming with that respect. The New Street shelter has recently been renovated and reopened under the Danbury Support Center. The proposed lease agreement with ARC is consistent with the POCD as it aligns with the city's efforts to provide support and shelter for those experiencing homelessness. Staff has no objection to the issuance of a positive recommendation subject to the standard conditions, review and approval by Corporation Council, as well as any additional terms that the City Council deems appropriate. Do you have any questions and or comments?
Any questions for Jennifer, commission members? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion, positive or negative. Anyone?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion for a positive referral.
Motion made. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Sylvain. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of a positive referral, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This matter gets a positive referral. We move to the second 824 referral on our agenda. It's an October 2023 City Council agenda item number 4, 98 Elm Street. Lease and Operations Health and Human Services. Jennifer.
Mr. Chairman, so this is similar to the previous one, except it's a different location, 98 Elm Street. Again, council received the request from Cara Prunty for the city to enter into the agreement with ARC to lease and operate the Danbury Support Center Elm Street campus located at 98 Elm Street. The city recently purchased the property from the Housing Authority in September, just last month it was purchased. Just as a quick recap, the subject property is a little less than 17,000 square feet in size. It's in the RH3 district. The property contains 2 buildings, a 2,600 square foot 2-family, and a 5,800 square foot 3-story structure that's located towards the rear of the lot. The department granted site plan approval in 1990 to the Housing Authority to construct the rear structure as a 20-bed single-room occupancy home, the use of which was for a nonprofit city-sponsored shelter for displaced persons. In 1990, 2-family dwelling and a shelter were both permitted uses, again, similar to the last one. The regulations changed, making the shelters a special exception in the zone. The 2-family structure remains a permitted use. In 2018, the use of the 2 structures on the lot was deemed legal non-conforming by the ZEO. Neither use has been abandoned, although the structures had been vacant for some time. It is of note that the 2-family dwelling is expected to be demolished shortly because of the condition. However, the foundation will be left intact to ensure that the nonconformity is maintained. The proposed lease agreement with ARC is consistent with the POCD, again, as it aligns with our efforts to provide support and shelter for those experiencing homelessness. Staff has no objection to the issuance of positive recommendations subject to the same conditions from the previous referral.
Thank
Any
you, Jennifer.
questions?
Commission members, any questions for Jennifer?
Chair, just one question. So that a new building is going to be built on that foundation? Is that?
I don't know at this point. Right now, we just want to maintain the nonconformity, and the way to do that is to keep the foundation intact. I don't know at this point if there's plans to build anything. Right now, it's to open up that rear building for the Elm Street campus.
So the lease will just be for the one that they're not knocking down, I guess?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Any other questions for Jennifer? If not, I'll entertain a motion for a positive or negative referral.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion for a positive referral.
Motion made for a positive referral. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Motion made and seconded for a positive referral. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Opposed? This matter gets a positive referral. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Commission members looking at our agenda, we've got a lot of stuff coming up, busy. But that should be pretty much it for tonight. Jennifer, am I forgetting anything? Why do I feel like I'm forgetting something?
I don't think you are.
Good.
Just the new business, and then the for reference only. You're right,
Okay.
there's a lot, but there's a lot of floodplain permits under the for reference only.
Okay.
But there are some new public hearings coming for the rest of the year.
Okay. Commission members, anything else? Staff, anything else? Okay, hearing that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Kyokyo. Did I hear a second there from Mr. Haas? I think I did.
Good.
Okay, motion made and seconded to adjourn. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Hi,
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
thank
Have a
you.
good
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good one.